Eccoci, buonasera, buonasera a tutti. Diamo spazio intanto, diamo qualche minuto per permettere a tutti di connettersi nella conversazione di oggi. Un po' di sound check, ditemi se funziona. E tra l'altro una comunicazione di servizio. Oggi la live sarà in lingua inglese perché abbiamo un ospite internazionale. Il tema di oggi è, eccola, anzi vedo già che qua partecipano. Il tema di oggi è un tema che secondo me è molto interessante e soprattutto potente, perché andremo a parlare del ruolo del mentore e del ruolo della sponsor. Allora, ecco, e la invitiamo già, che è già qua con noi. Vediamo se riesce a connettersi.
Did it work?
Hello!
It worked. Technology worked.
Bene.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for inviting me to do this, Francesca. It's really a pleasure to be a part of the group.
No, thank you so much. So welcome to Girls Restart Community, first of all. Thank you.
Yes,
So
absolutely. And it's an important topic. It's something that you and I care about quite a bit, and we've both experienced. So it's fun. It's fun to share some of that story and perspective.
it is. It is. And what I really think that it's not just interesting, but it's really a powerful, I'd say, conversation and a powerful topic. So I want to introduce you to the community. I took just a short bio. So let's see if it's correct. So I'm delighted
Let's go.
to welcome Mallory to today's conversation. She brings a truly international and diverse perspective. Originally from the US, she lived in Paris and now calls London home. Mallory speaks 3 languages fluently with a working knowledge of both Italian and Spanish as well. With a background in international political economy, she began her career in higher education before making a bold transition into tech. Today, she leads customer account management across EMEA, guiding teams through renewals and change, and scaling operation post-acquisition. She's also a certified cloud financial management trainer, a mentor, and a strong advocate for inclusion and women in tech. Welcome, Mallory. How does it
Thank you
sound?
so much for that. It sounds very impressive. I look forward to meeting that person someday.
And that's you, and that's you.
Oh.
So let's start. First of all, I really want to understand like what really excites you about like the most about this topic. Who really cares?
Oh man, so as you said, I'm a career changer, and I have been really lucky to find really good sponsors and good mentors in my life. But they do different things. And as I continue to grow in my career, I find new opportunities to support the people around me and give them a chance to grow. And so for me, it's something that I've personally benefited from. And so I'm really trying to pay it forward to the next person who's trying to grow as well. And I think just understanding what's possible helps people with their own career ambitions.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I can tell that when I was like in London, in the same office, in the same team, together with you, I could really see, this. So we had previously some conversations, some chat, about like the definition of mentorship, the definition of sponsorship. So I took some notes there as well, because you defined mentorship. You said that mentorship can take many forms. Sometimes it's a structured relationship, and over time it develops more organically. But at its core, mentorship is about guidance, support, and sharing knowledge to help someone grow. So, what is mentorship for you?
This is anyone who is able to give you perspective to grow. And so some of that can just be really practical knowledge. If you're new to a company or new to a job, you just say, hey, how do I do this? But as you really think about it more holistically as a person, it's anybody you respect and admire, and you want to understand how they see the world. And the best part is they don't need to know that they are your mentor, right? They can simply be inspirational, and you can tell them, you inspire me. And secretly, you're asking them questions. How do you do this? How do you think about that? Now, in a work setting, a mentor probably is somebody with some experience, maybe in your company, maybe in different companies. But let's also remember the reverse mentorship. And that's when somebody more junior is helping somebody more senior. And I confess, I'm starting to benefit from that as we bring in new people who are 15 years younger than me. I ask them, how do you think about this? What's important to you? How did you learn at university? Because it's different than how I learned. And so I need to understand how you think so that we can work better together. So, really, mentorship to me is very informal because anybody that you want to learn from can act as a mentor.
So over time, have you found or chosen your own mentor?
My first mentor chose me. My very first job in tech. So I was in higher education. I was doing consulting for universities. And my goal was to move to Europe. I wanted to be in Europe. And so my very first tech job had nothing to do with Europe, but I knew tech would help me. And there was this amazing woman who was part of the Portland, Oregon in the US, women in tech community. And she recognized me as somebody who needed a community around her. And I really needed a community then. And she just pulled me into it. And that introduced me to some of my closest friends and to other mentors and to great colleagues and future colleagues. I volunteered for Portland Women in Technology for years. And so she just chose me and brought me on that journey. But as I've learned more about tech and what I want for my career, I start to find people and say, hey, I really admire your career. Tell me your story. Help me understand how you think about it.
Oh, that's really interesting. So considering like this aspect, no, of the mentorship, the fact that you ended up like, yeah, you were like looking for some mentor, but actually like the mentor ended up like not choosing you. So shifting this, thinking about the mentorship and now shifting to sponsorship, what I really thought is that when we had a chat, I really admire actually the difference you spotted
Mm.
that is very subtle. Because you said that while mentorship is about offering guidance, no, as you just said, sponsorship is about advocacy. So a sponsor goes a step farther, using the influence to actively create opportunity, open doors, and help elevate someone's visibility. It's less about advice and more about action. Can you please develop a little bit further?
So sponsorship is really, mentorship can be peer to peer, it can be junior and senior, senior and junior. Sponsorship, I really think of like you're pulling someone up with you. You're giving them an opportunity to grow. And and so that's why I was saying somebody needs to have at least influence. It doesn't have to be power, but they need to have enough influence so that if they talk about you in a different room, people listen and go, oh, wow, yeah, we should pay more attention to that. You're right, she does have potential. Because that's how you move into that next step. Somebody who really cares about your growth and will advocate for you, advocate for you when you're not there.
So if you think about like this topic, as you said, influence, advocacy, speak in the room, can you share like a time where like a sponsor made a meaningful impact on your career, on your growth?
I will give you two. Um, and this is also some practical advice to people is I knew my goal was to move to Europe. That was my intention. That's why I chose technology. And that's eventually why I chose a small startup that was more flexible and I had a chance to grow. So in my interviews, I would tell people my goal is to live and work in Europe. And I said, listen, I don't want you to transfer me today. I need to prove that I'm the right person. But I'm telling you my goal because I want to understand if there's a way you can help me get one step closer. So when I first joined Cloudability, which was a startup, I simply said that. That is my goal. Your company's interesting. The job is interesting. My goal is to move to Europe. Can you help me? And they said, well, we're not transferring you today, but would you like to manage the European customers, but from the US? I said, absolutely. And after 2 years, I was partnering with the general manager for Europe at the company. He saw what I was doing. And when I was not in the room, he was saying, we need to transfer her. We need to bring her. She knows the business. She knows the customers. And so it's because of his sponsorship that the leadership said, okay, we can transfer her. So here's example number two. So then I was in London and Aptio bought Cloudability. So I went from startup to now a scale up. And the very first time I met the GM for Europe for Aptio, after lunch, I said, thank you. It's great to meet you. Just to let you know, I love my job, but I want to move into leadership eventually. That's all I said. He said, thank you for letting me know. And then he saw me work and he saw my potential and he created a manager role for me the next year. And that was the start of my journey into managing the account managers and leadership across Aptio, which is now part of IBM. And that's because I was so clear about what I wanted. And eventually that sponsor sees your potential and helps you get there.
Sometimes it's really hard, no, to have like a clear vision actually of what you really want.
Yeah.
What are your goals? No, what you know those normal questions that sometimes they ask, where do you see you know in 10 years time? Sometimes it's really hard, but if you, I think, no, that if you can really have quite an idea, no, it's important to share it and work for that.
Sometimes it's easy. So I think you're a good example. You were very clear on your career path. You knew account management was a good fit for your personality. And so you learned what you could about the job and you showed people your potential. But to your point, a lot of people don't know what they want. And that's true if you're early in your career, but even if you're late in your career, you may not know exactly what you want next. And so my advice to that is simply say, hey, I'm still exploring what I want next. Here's what I like. Here's what I'm good at. What do you think? And knowing what your strengths are, knowing what you love to do at work and what you hate to do at work, even then, people who want to sponsor you, who want to support your growth, they'll look and say, hey, you are really good at these three things. Have you ever considered this type of job? But you have to give them something. You have to let them know, hey, I'm actively exploring. I don't know what I want, but I really want your perspective so that they feel like you're inviting them to help, if that makes sense, instead of just offering that information.
So your example, the example you just shared, you know, is a really good example for like how to like advocate, try to find your sponsor, you know, and have a clear, I'd say, understanding at least of what are you willing, your intention, try to communicate at least, you know. But have you ever been like a sponsor for someone else?
I I like to think I was your sponsor. And so let's build on that story. So you were very clear about what you wanted in your career. You invested in yourself by moving to London to be closer to a lot of leadership, honestly. And what I knew, but you did not know, is the next year I would have a job available. I knew that, but I needed to do a lot of other steps first. And we had worked together for years. I knew the quality of your work. I knew your potential. I knew your passion, your energy, your strengths. And so you moved without a clear answer about what would come next. But I already had a plan for that because, and this is not because I'm nice or anything, it's because I really saw your potential and I wanted that on my team. And that's part of it too, is like yes, sponsors and mentors, they're nice people. They want to support others, but they're also trying to solve business challenges. They're trying to solve a problem. So they see somebody with potential who wants to grow and they see a problem. I knew I was going to need a new person on my team. a few months after you moved. And I really wanted you on the team because of your potential and because you demonstrated excellence in your work. I just needed to do some extra steps to make it happen. But it really shows your courage to say, I know what I want. I know what I'm good at. I'm going to take this risk because it's going to pay off eventually.
You know that now that you're talking through like the differences between a mentor and sponsor, I started
Mm.
thinking that actually I was kind of both a mentor and a sponsor without even knowing, because after the change and the step that I
Mm.
decided to take, I already had in our team, someone who was keeping asking me questions, asking for advice, but I didn't realize actually I was kind of a mentor for this person. And then when you turn this chance, to move to a different role, and there was like a vacancy there, I immediately, sponsor her. So actually now I do see a partner.
Yeah, actually, this is a great example of I saw potential. I said, let's go. And as you continued to grow, you pointed to the next person and said, I see your potential. Let's go. And
So
that's what I mean is it can be both directions, right? You can be sponsored by someone as you're starting to sponsor others as well.
yeah. So talking about, let's go into a little bit of a practice, and
Hmm.
practical step and advice that we can give to the community. So, what are some practical steps that someone should can take to start building a sponsorship relationship?
So we've talked about some. So just to reiterate and repeat, so if you know what you want, tell people. And it can be very short, very brief. I'm interested in learning about marketing. That's all. And if people know what you want, they will think of it. They will anticipate and say, hey, you might be interested in this. If you don't know what you want, then say that. I don't know what I want yet, but I'm exploring. Know what you're good at, know what you like doing. Those are not always the same thing. Sometimes you're really good at something, but you don't like it, and vice versa. I'm not good at soccer, but I love soccer, for example. But then, sorry, on a more practical note, be as open to feedback as you can. This is something else you do well, and it's something on my team. I really try to create a safe space for people to receive feedback. But if you're very comfortable telling someone, I want your perspective, tell me what you think of this. Here's an idea, but help me make it better before I submit it. If you invite people to give you feedback, you will learn so much about how they perceive you. And if you know how they perceive you, if it's very positive, that might be a mentor or a sponsor. It might be.
It's not just about like really understanding like how people see you, but it also, I mean, to understand like yourself, your strength actually, because sometimes
Hmm.
you don't have that capability, or that really precise idea of what you're good at or what not good at. So I think that also giving feedbacks, it's always a good way of communication and growth. So yeah,
Well,
go
I'm,
on.
I'm thinking I'm thinking of, since this is Girls Restart, I think sometimes we expect ourselves as women to be perfect at something before we can say, "Oh, I'm good." So a personal example, I am very good at a process. I'm not the best person in the world at process, but I am very good at it. And so it takes some time to recognize and watch other people and realize, oh, I actually am quite good at this workflow process, and then be confident enough to say it. But especially with women, sometimes to be safe, we want to we want to use it like, oh, I can help the team in this way. So I'm good at something, but here's how it helps the team. And that is a direct line from Machiavelli for Women, which you remember. So that's also a book recommendation to the group. It's called Machiavelli for Women by Stacey Vanek Smith. And it's taking a lot of career advice and being more specific to a woman in the workplace because sometimes it's different.
Yeah, and also I think that especially building a little bit on this, let's say, women topic and way of feeling. I have a question that I don't know if it's just for me, but I think it really belongs in a dress, like a women way and aspect of doing things. So how can people advocate for themselves without like feeling, I say, self-promotional, no, or uncomfortable?
Practice. Let me answer indirectly. I was at a women's lunch event, and the speaker was talking about communication styles, and women and men are often raised to communicate in different ways. And so a woman will often start by giving the why. I did all this research and here are the results and here's this and this, because we're trying to prove that we know, we're trying to prove that we're experts. And so we want to show here's all of the reasons why we are taking this action. That's not how men communicate. Men will simply say, here's the action we're taking. Ask me why if you want to know why. And so, again, it's an awareness of who is in the room, how do they think, how do they communicate, and maybe it feels uncomfortable to you, but you have to remember it's not what you say, it's what they hear. And so if they are hearing all of these reasons why, and they're not hearing the actual like point, the actual action you're taking, you won't make any progress. So that's just one small example of if you're trying to build your confidence, just remember to look around you and how do they think? And you can adjust how you communicate to be heard more effectively. And especially for women in tech, for me, it means that I have to be very direct, but I'm always diplomatic, I'm always polite, and I'm always focused on the team results. It's not about me. It's never about me. It's about the business. It's about the team. And then it's more comfortable to be direct because it's not about anything personal. It's simply about the information. That makes it a lot easier.
I think this is a great advice because sometimes, no, if you want to a little bit dispatch, no, a bit from what you are and transfer actually the results that maybe you are not able to communicate because you feel again, no, a little bit self-promotional, but the results to a bigger, let's say, picture like a team, no, or the company, maybe yeah, it is easier to communicate and do a little bit of show off.
But it's in a way that's celebrating the overall success. Oh, look, we had this great win for the team, a great win for the company, and here's what I did. Right? So it's a little bit of both, right?
So going back, no, we said how we should start, no, building a sponsorship relationship, no, what are the advice, the activity we should do. But what advice would you give to be like an active sponsor?
To be an
I know,
active
but even
sponsor.
if in small ways.
Yeah, because it can often be something very small. And I said at the beginning, sponsors they need power or influence. And power, yes, sometimes you are the manager who can hire somebody, but influence is much more subtle. Influence might be somebody who is in the company for years or who knows somebody who is very powerful. And so they can start to say things. And so as you grow your own career, you want to really build a strong community around you who are good champions for you, but also look for ways that you can advocate for other people. Part of that is just curiosity, like tell me what you do, tell me what your role is, what do you like about it? Because then you'll start to recognize their strengths and you can start to become a mini sponsor. You could say, I talked to this person and they're really good at this. We should share that with the rest of the team, right? You're just starting to connect the dots. And a lot of great leaders, that's what they're doing. They're strategically arranging all of these information to get the best possible results.
What I really like about the idea also of being a sponsor, as you said, sometimes we should have, some also business challenges, in
Mm.
mind, and business plan, but it's not always, related one to one to yourself,
Right.
and the sponsor. but it looks a little bit more like expand a little bit more, no? The vision and the horizon. Do you agree?
Which shows that you're thinking strategically, right? You're thinking big picture. You're saying, hey, I don't do this, but I notice a challenge, and here's my perspective, here's my idea, right? So it's showing that you're thinking about more than just your role. And that's what good leaders need to do. And again, leadership could be the title, or it can just be the person on the team that everyone respects and wants that perspective.
So if we want to leave the audience, let's say, no, with one actionable takeaway or any ideas, what would it be?
Let's summarize it. So we'll give one word, which is curiosity. But let's explain what we mean. So first, let's talk about curiosity about yourself. What do you like? What are you good at? What's interesting to you? What do you want to explore next? If you don't know that, you can't explain it, you can't articulate it to someone else. So you have self-curiosity. But then next, you need to build your community. You need to build your network. And you do that with authentic curiosity about other people. What's your job? What was your career? What did you do before? What do you like about your job? um, that authentic curiosity, so you'll understand who might be a sponsor, but more importantly, those people, they feel seen and heard, they want to interact with you, you're interested in them, it feels good, and that all comes from genuine curiosity. You and I talk about that with our customers. Just ask them, like, how do you do this? Does it work for you? Do you like it? What other challenges do you have? What other teams help you on this? That curiosity, you will learn so much more by listening than by speaking. And you can apply that as you're planning your whole career, as you're building your network, learning about people, finding mentors, finding sponsors. Just be curious.
So I think this was a very interesting topic. I think sometimes it's hard to understand, no, the difference, but actually there is a huge difference, no, between being a mentor and being a sponsor.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing the experience tonight with us. And thank you everyone who would join us for this conversation. I hope you're going to walk away with some key actionable insight and start to be a strong mentor and sponsor within your
Sponsor.
community. Yeah, within your community and workplace. So
Thank you
thank you
so
so much.
much for having me. This was fun.
Yeah. Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Ciao.
Bye. Ciao, ciao.